We're officially in the bye week here on Boy Green Daily, and it's time to dive into several juicy topics this week. We've got a fun show planned out throughout the entire week, so I hope you guys can join us. This is Boy Green Daily, a live video show every morning at 7:30, talking all things New York Jets. Without further ado, let's get this party started. Zoinks! But it is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Aaron Rodgers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a Victory Tuesday. I saw that in here. Who said that? Sergeant CVO. It might as well be. When you're on the bye and you get a win of this magnitude, if you're the New York gosh darn Jets, baby, it's a Victory Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And hopefully they really savor this one, because I think we mentioned it on the show yesterday. This very well might be the best win of the Robert Saleh era, defeating a team that was just in the Super Bowl, stacked roster, overcoming obstacles. Yeah, this is a win we should savor. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And the Jets somehow are 3-3 in the bye week, which is spectacular. It's exciting and delicious. When you start looking at the other games coming up on the schedule, there's some gettable ones. In no particular order, although I'm pretty sure this is the order, you have the New York Giants. What a dumpster fire that is, although they showed some level of competency on Sunday Night Football. Up next, you have the LA Chargers, who have arguably the worst defense in the NFL. So you can have some ops there. And then while the Chargers offense is pretty good, the Eagles offense is pretty good. The Bills offense is pretty good. The Chiefs offense is pretty good. So Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, all those offenses were pretty good, and the Jets found a way. So that makes me feel pretty confident about that game. And then you got the Raiders. Those are the next 3 games on the schedule after the bye week for the Jets. And on top of that, so those are the next 3 in a row. But let's put those in a pocket. Here are a couple other games randomly on the schedule. Falcons, Commanders, Texans, Browns. We'll see what they're dealing with at that point. They got a big win just like the Jets over the weekend against the 49ers. But you look at a couple of those and you start counting up like that. Ding, 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 ding. All of a sudden, all of these games are winnable. The Jets haven't played the Dolphin Jets, so you got those two twice. I'm kind of curious to see Jets defense versus that offense, see what kind of happens there. You got another matchup with the Bills. You already beat them once, so minimum, you're even Steven. Best case, you get the sweepski. You pull out the brooms, a little broom action. So that, of course, is on the table for the New York Jets as well. So this is just a phenomenal bye week. But I think someone mentioned it earlier on one of our comments that this next game against the Giants, again, bye week this week, Giants the following week, that this is so important to take care of business. Now, the Jets haven't had one of these yet because they've played this gauntlet of teams. They probably should have done it to New England, who only has 1 win on the season. They're 1-5, and their only win is against the Jets. So that one sucks. There's just no other way to put it. That one friggin' stinks. But the Jets have played all these crazy teams like, again, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles, and even the Broncos could have been another one. They haven't just blown a team out, just blown the barn doors off them, like the Chicago Bears last year, that game where we just ran them off the field. That's what I'm hoping happens against the New York Giants. It'd be good to have one of those wins for once. These dramatic last-second Bills, Eagles are cool, and even Broncos was last second too. Those are fun and keeps my blood pressure rate increasingly high that my doctors are somewhat concerned about. But I'd like let's just take care of business. Let's savor the moment, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. Now, we'll get into more of that later. And if you guys have questions, feel free to obviously throw them in the live chat. We've got this live show popping, of course. You guys can also listen to the audio-only version of this podcast. Simply search for Boy Green Daily wherever you find your podcast. It is available. The poll of the day and the theme is this. Now that we're in the bye week, we're going to explore some topics we don't normally get the time to discuss. So feel free to throw those questions in and I'll answer those. But I do want to answer the theme of today's episode, which is debating whether Aaron Rodgers will return to the Jets during the 2023 season. It seems mythical. It seems unbelievable. It seems, quite frankly, hard to even rationalize that that could be possible because this man, it's a month and 6 days ago, tore his Achilles. From doctors, I hear there's a difference. I want to be correct here. He tore his Achilles on Monday, September 11th. He had surgery. It was 2 or 3 days later. And on Sunday, he was throwing around the football in pregame without the assistance of crutches or anything else for that matter. It's kind of stunning, to be honest with you. Absolutely stunning. And now it sparked a lot of thoughts from all of us. Could potentially Aaron Rodgers return this season? Well, we put up the poll of the day yesterday. We try to do this for every show. It doesn't always happen, but we try to do this for every show. And here it was. I asked the great people on X, previously Twitter, be honest. In bold capital letters, do you believe Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers will make history by returning from his torn Achilles during the 2023 season? Now, this could include the regular season, as Carter Hughes of SNY, kind of threw out there. It's a possibility that not even the playoffs, he could return by the end of the season. Interesting. Or the playoffs, obviously, would also count. Boy Green Daily poll of the day. It's up for the next 12 hours. Yes, he's built different, or no, it's not possible. And right now, everyone's in positivity land. 68% say, yes, he's built different. And quite frankly, if we're just speaking on that, I mean, this man seems to be on a mission to come back this season, on a mission to return to the football field and all the stuff of everybody doubting him and everything else. Here's my only, I believe with everything I've seen, I was kind of like, no, yes, no, maybe, I don't know. But here's where I'm at with it. I think he can, but here's the big thing. We had Stephania Bell on. Time for a quick flex, baby. Stephania Bell, ESPN's injury analyst, on our show a week ago, and I asked her about all the things with the Aaron Rodgers thing. She's a doctor, a licensed therapist and doctor and everything else, and she knows all the juicy deets. And one of the things that scared the hell out of me, again, Aaron Rodgers doing it right. He's got the best doctors on the planet. I'm not doubting any of that. But she said during this Achilles recovery process that there's a chance if you rush it too quickly, you can elongate, was the word she used, the Achilles tendon, and that means it's destroyed forever. There's nothing you can ever do. Once you bust that, there's no other surgery that can be, it's over. So that's the only risk, which obviously is a massive risk because if you rush him back this year, he gets hurt and then you never get Aaron Rodgers again. That's that is somewhat concerning. That is somewhat concerning. So as long as all of that checks out, and again, they know the protocol, so it's that early stages of this Achilles recovery before you can get aggressive return to sports. And again, he's got doctors, and Aaron Rodgers is a different man. So I believe it's going to happen, and it would be spectacular. And the Jets at 3-3, this is the best case scenario, if we're all being honest. Again, there's a better case scenario. They should have, could have, would have beaten the Patriots. I would have put them at 4-2. They should have, could have, would have beaten the Chiefs. That would have put them at 5-1, which would tie the best record in football. The Cowboys, well, there's a lot of plays you got to take out of that one to change that, although the soft pick six aside. But put our bias aside here, they could easily be 4-2 or 5-1 right now. But 3-3 ain't bad. Meatloaf probably wrote a song about that. But nonetheless, the fact of the matter is the Jets are fully in this. They're fully in the thick of this. And that, to me, is incredibly exciting. I believe Aaron Rodgers will have the opportunity to return. Because here's the other thing. He has to be medically in a health position to be able to return. And the second part of that equation is the Jets being in it. Well, I obviously, this is impossible. But if the Jets were 1-10, like he ain't coming back. Because he's like, well, but there's no point in me risking this for nothing. However, the Jets aren't going to be 1-10. That's impossible because they're 3-3. So who knows what they'll be at whatever stage that is. But I am definitely fascinated by it. All right, let's go through some of your questions and comments. Let's go. We're supposed to have Matt O'Leary on the show, but obviously he's not here right now. So we'll see if he pops in before the end of the program. So more on that. Yes, who else is hyped? I love all the hype from Matthew Wright. Very nice. Yes, enjoy it. People going to the Jets Chargers game. Very nice. Very nice. I like it. Beating the Eagles is a big deal. I agree, Phil Adams. Good work there. Jets 3 more in a row. That would be spectacular. Matthew Wright throws this up. Got to go at least 5-4, but hoping for 6-3 after Vegas. Yeah, I mean, sign me the hell up. Yeah, 2. Yeah, that'd probably be a good bet. Yeah, going 2-1 in that stretch. Obviously, 3-0 would be spectacular. So yes, and that's the other big thing, Matthias. You nailed it. Health. This bye comes at a great time. Sauce Gardner, concussion. DJ Reed, concussion. Brandon Eccles, hamstring. You could potentially, coming off the bye and having all this rest, Eccles missed 2 weeks, plus the week of the bye, plus the week leading into the Giants game. That's a month of time of rest. Sauce Gardner missed this week, gets bye week, then the next game. That's 3 weeks of recovery. DJ Reed missed 2 games, so 2 games, bye week, and then week leading into Giants. That's another month. So hopefully, from a health perspective, you're returning the entire cornerback room. The Jets are playing it. Just a couple of Robert Saleh updates. Technically, he doesn't have to give an injury report update for 9 days because of the bye week. So they get a little bit flexibility on the NFL rules. So we're kind of up in the air on Joe Tippmann. I saw someone brought up the Garrett Wilson injury. Again, he seemed to get an MRI and seemed like he was fine and spoke to the media after. That's normally a really good sign. So he looked good, although I was scared in the middle of the game. So Tippmann, you got to watch out for. We have no idea there. Corners, just hopefully all getting healthy and getting ready. And I think those are the only ones I kind of remember of significance off the top of my head. But nonetheless, the health part is a big piece of this bye week. I know it's going to stink not having a Jets game this week. But again, when it gets to Jets game day, like either Sunday or Thursday or Monday or whatever, maybe we should just like replay the Eagles game. And that could be our game. That could be an idea. And yes, as Johnny indicates here, hit the like button, baby. Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button as well. Make sure you show your support for the show here on YouTube. We really appreciate it. Oh, we got some juicy questions in here. Here we go. Phil Adams asks, will Joe Douglas work some deadline magic? Well, it's almost guaranteed, Phil, because here's the thing. Joe Douglas took over the team in the offseason of 2019, and on every trade deadline, Joe Douglas has made a deal. He's made a deal with the devil and has made something happen. So if history, indicates anything with the future, he absolutely will make a deal, whether that's shipping guys off. We talked about it on the show yesterday with Mo Moten. I highly recommend you guys checking that back out. We had proposed trades with Mo Moten, who works for Bleacher Report. So proposed deals on Cole Hardman, proposed deals on Carl Lawson. Dalvin Cook even was thrown in there in the possible conversation. So Jets could be throwing some excess baggage out. There's also a chance to acquire some talent. The Devontae Adams trade was brought up. That, to me, again, feels more so like a off-season move than an in-season move for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the relationship with Aaron Rodgers, although Zach Wilson's played very well, relatively speaking. His completion percentage wasn't very high in this past game, but the previous 2, Chiefs, Broncos, he was a 72+ percentage guy from that perspective. Get the ball where it needs to go. Garrett Wilson's getting the ball. So that looks pretty good. I'd be kind of interested because Matthias has this next question here. So I guess I'll throw yours up and kind of combine these. Do we need another impactful wide receiver? I think we do. I'm not trying to be overreactionary, but Alan Lazard, so is the terrible penalty. That's just awful. He drops the ball. Zach Wilson throws it right in the midst and just drops it. I'm like, golly, we're paying him $44 million. I mean, for Pete's sake, Alan Lazard needs to step up. Randall Cobb is just not exciting. He's interesting with Aaron Rodgers because of years of chemistry, but that doesn't really exist with Zach Wilson. He's a good guy to have in the locker room, but seeing all that time on the field is kind of Xavier Gibson is totally unproven, but I like the few pops he's getting. The Jets are missing Corey Davis. I never thought I'd say that, but they're missing Corey Davis in a big way. Maybe he'd be contributing some of those same drop ski problems, but they just need another guy. Like Garrett Wilson is spectacular, obviously, but you just need another reliable guy that defenses have to worry about. And so I'd love it. But again, like a Devontae Adams level deal, that just doesn't feel like – that feels like a splashy offseason thing. Aaron Rodgers is back healthy. Maybe he shows up a little bit at the end of the year, and they're like, ooh, let's go all in again and get Adams. Like maybe I could see that. Obviously, Mo Moten brought up Hunter Renfrow. I'm not really sure about a slot guy because I'd rather just give those reps to like a Xavier or hell, even Mecole Hardman for that matter. But an outside boundary guy, someone we did talk about on the show yesterday, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. If the package is reasonable, if we're talking first or seconds, I'm not interested at all. But if we go third and lower, then okay, then we can talk about Jerry Jeudy. Okay, now we can talk about Cortland Sutton. Those are the kind of deals I'd be willing to make, Matthias. And Michael Palermo, sign Huff now, referencing, of course, Bryce Huff, who is a man on fire, had a sack and a half, career high in quarterback pressures. I hope we do similar to a JFM contract extension, to be honest with you guys, mid-season. That was in the London game, London Jets-Falcons game a couple years ago, right before the Jets jumped on the London plane. They signed JFM in the middle of the night or early morning or something, and booyah, got him locked in. And JFM is playing out of his mind this year, by the way, not getting enough love. So JFM has been really good. Bryce Huff, another find, a UDFA find. This man can't go to another team. I have heard the trade rumors and all this other stuff. The Jets need to sign Bryce Huff in the dotted line. He is their best edge rusher. He was just unblockable, quite frankly, in the Philadelphia Eagles game. This guy is way too important. I don't care if you drafted Will McDonald in the first round. I don't care if you gave Carl Lawson $45 billion. Bryce Huff is a dude. You need to ink this guy to a long-term deal. Absolutely, Michael. You hit the nail on the head. I want to see Bryce Huff extended mid-season because obviously the more you wait, the numbers are going to continue to boop, 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 continue to rise up, and naturally so because he's been spectacular. So hopefully this is one of those where Joe Douglas goes, okay, let's just take care of business here because to be honest, if they sign him now or anywhere here in the near future, bye would be a good time to do it with some extra wiggle room time. I know we're talking about trade deadline stuff, but kind of keeping your own wouldn't be a bad option either. For old Joe Douglas. That would be one that I would certainly explore as well if I'm the Jets. So fingers crossed that we can make that happen. Matthew saying when G-Dub got hurt twice, Garrett Wilson, you were pretty worried about it, as was I. I'm glad that he came back in. Phil Adams says, Aaron Rodgers playoffs only. Don't risk the regular season. Yeah, I mean, you should be very, whatever the word is. I mean, trust the doctors, of course, but very, like Zach Wilson isn't terrible right now. He is doing fine. Again, he's probably, an average starting quarterback in this league, which, by the way, is something we were all begging for before. He's not having the yips. He's not skipping rocks across the water. He's delivering the ball where it needs to go. Some of the play calling has been a little questionable. He hasn't been perfect. I'm not trying to be a Zach Wilson. Hey, he's perfect and everything else is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. But Zach Wilson, in 2 of the 3 games, has had 72% plus completion percentage. That's a tongue twister. He's been delivering the ball. And he's been making things happen. So I've been very encouraged by Zach Wilson so far. And the rest of the offensive piece are pretty talented. Let's give Breece Hall the ball a little more. Let's get a little bit better on the play call designs. I hate the predictable run, pass. Salah said that's what they were going to do in the red zone. Like, I hate that. Like, come on, let's liven it up a little bit. But Rodgers playoffs would be exciting, although I guess situation matters. Like, are we going to week 18 New England and it's do or die? Or are we going to give Zach Wilson an opportunity? If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, would you go to him? I don't know. There's, again, a lot of pieces to figure out. But very interesting for playoffs only. Don't risk the regular season. That could be. Let's see. Lonzo says, Lozano says, Rodgers not come back this year. We need to stop this. He needs to be 100% for 2024, which again is not a bad choice if they win in that department. It just seems like he is super motivated. By the way, being super motivated here and that just coming to fruition isn't the worst thing in the world as a motivational tool, right? Is for Rodgers to think he's coming back. So he's working hard to come back. And then if he doesn't, he's like, well, okay, now I'm going to turn that energy and focus to 2024. So that's not him. There's no bad reason with Rodgers as long as he's going with the doctor's protocols, which it seems like he said that on Pat McAfee's show a couple of times of like, knowing the risks and going through the process. There's no problem with him continuing to do the things that he's been doing in terms of the aggressive rehab, as long as he's being safe, because ultimately, worst case, he's super ready for 2024 and ready for some of those off-season training programs, which would be vitally important for building that chemistry like we saw last year. Jared says the same thing. Basically, I wouldn't take the chance on Rodgers to screw up next year. Fair enough. NY Jets FL. Great call, Boy Green. I believe that we can win the Chiefs and Eagles games. Now we root for the Eagles this week. 100%. The Jets got past the Eagles. And again, the Jets have made a joke about it. But let's look around real quick. Let's read the list of teams that have beaten the Eagles this season. The Jets, That's the list. But the Eagles aren't some scrub team. They still got to play. They already beat the Patriots already. They got to play the Dolphins. They got to play the Bills, I'm pretty sure, on the schedule. So, I mean, you look at some of those and say, hey, the Bills could lose to the Eagles. This could happen. I brought up the AFC East standings. So you have the Dolphins at number 1. They're 5-1, right? Jets haven't played them either time yet. So they have 2 games against them. So the Jets at 3-3 can make that up purely by beating the Dolphins twice. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's within your control, quote unquote. The Bills are 1 game ahead of you at 4-2, but you control the tiebreaker. So again, at a minimum, you're even Steven with the Buffalo Bills, if not better, by potentially sweeping them. So that's phenomenal. You're in a really good place. All right, let's go with a couple of quickies here before we get off for Boy Green Daily. Yeah, again, the same thing with people with offensive line trade questions. It just doesn't happen. I mean, honestly, the Jets got a little lucky with the Laurent Duvernay-Tardif situation 2 years ago or so with his unique situation and the Jets taking a gamble. But that is a rare outlier. But anything can happen. Johnny asked about the trade deadline thing. He thinks Carl Lawson gets moved. I could certainly see that. I don't think Carl Lawson stinks. I just think he's fallen down the depth. Jermaine Johnson played the game of his life against Eagles. Like, guys are just playing better and had more ops, and he was unhealthy at the wrong time, and people took his job, basically. So, yeah, I'd flip him. And according to Mo Moten, I didn't realize he had this kind of value. Mo Moten, and I'll share some of these trade proposals on Twitter and YouTube in case you guys want the quicker video. Man, it sure sounds like he could get some fair value on the open market, which surprises me a bit in terms of the trade market. So he was saying a 3rd or 4th. I would sign up for that immediately, and that would also open up more opportunities for others. Jared B. Dwayne Brown is eligible to return in that New York Giants game. We'll see what happens. Salah kind of hinted or floated that he's eligible, but we'll see what happens. And again, I hope they don't mess with the integrity of this offensive line, the depth. Like, keep him as a backup, that left tackle, and if Mekhi goes down, you just switch Mekhi to Dwayne. If you bring Dwayne back immediately, you got to rearrange everything else. So hopefully they don't do that. All right, let me see if I have any other quick questions here before we sign off. Who would take on Cook's contract the way he's playing? Good question. We'll have to see. Although it's set up in a way that it's about $3 million and change to get him. It'd probably have to be one of those like late pick swaps. I wouldn't imagine a lot. Absolutely not. Did we make a mistake keeping Michael Carter instead of Bam? Michael Carter's not been great, but Bam, unfortunately, is out for the season. He suffered an injury out there in Detroit. No, I don't believe so. I think the Zonovan and Bam Knight truthers are just too much. He's fine. Get Jason Brownlee out there. That could be an option. That could be a possibility if you don't want to go outside the barn here. Yeah, Michael Carter has not been playing well, so you'd have to get another guy. Gator asks, what teams need a running back like Cook? Like probably the Bills, who just had a Damian Harris injury, but you wouldn't trade inside division probably. Yeah, that would be the first one off the top of my head. Wide receiver off the top. Goal line smash mouth football. I'm just kind of doing a quick search here, guys, because our shows where we try to make these 20-minute snack size, but I don't want to leave any of you hanging. 3-3, amazing. Izzy getting back on the field again. I'm more open to that now than I was earlier. Juju, oh, that would be interesting. He's fallen out of favor there in New England. He'll be at that game. Beautiful. How about those Jets? Just hear me out. He's spoken into existence with the money line bet. We talked about that on the Game Day show on Sunday, I believe. Both Sunday and then later in the day, I do believe. So shout out to him making some money on the New York Jets. That's never a bad place to be. Phil Adams with the Jets Brotherhood banner. I can't wait. That'll be awesome. Again, I will end the show, I guess, on that. Guys, thank you so much for the can I get a zoinks before you go? Absolutely. Let me give it to you. Zoinks! Yeah, baby. You bet your buns. There you go. There's that. But on a serious note, I do want to thank you guys for the outpouring of support yesterday. That was super cool. It was super. Unfortunately, with everything that's going on, I don't have the time to respond to each and every one of you. But I just have to say I read them all. So thank you. On X, previously Twitter, under my post. I appreciate all the outpouring of support, guys. So thank you so much. It's a very difficult situation, and still in New Hampshire, I will be for the next bunch of days. So we'll kind of see what that looks like moving forward. But thank you guys for the support. It means a lot. For any of you who are local or want to listen locally, I will be back on the radio remotely from here in New Hampshire from 10 to 12 on the Man Child Show with Boy Green, of course, in Syracuse, New York. If you guys would like to listen to that, that is the score1260.com or for free on the Score 1260 app. You guys can feel free to call into that show if you want to talk Jets or anything else for that matter. 315-671-1260. Those are the digits to get involved on the show again. 315-671-1260. I'll be live on the radio 10 to 12 a little later today to make my return to radio for the first time in like a week. So looking forward to that. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow for a tasty show of Italy Jet on, and we'll have some fun during the bye week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Take care.